Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Streamable Horror, and today we're looking at Hereditary, which came out in 2017 and is now available on Amazon Prime only. So let's get on with the plot. The movie's about a family who just lost their grandmother, and they start to experience weird paranormal stuff throughout their entire house. This goes on throughout the entire movie, and it's because that they slowly start to find out that the grandma was actually a cult leader and was trying to take over the boy who's the main character sort of the film's body, and so they can make him the new demon lord named King Payman. And they're trying to mess with him throughout the entire movie. That's basically the entire movie. That's all it is. Just them being messed around with by this demon, and they're being kind of tormented by this cult, but that's kind of like more towards the end. Basically, most of the film is just them being messed with by the demon. The, you originally think that the daughter kind of had a connection to it, but then she dies about halfway through. So, yeah. So, even though the trailers focus mainly on the one girl, she's barely in it. And it's basically just more of a family drama than actually a horror film. It doesn't really become a horror film until maybe after the girl's death. Besides that, it's more of a family drama. Even after that scene, it's basically a family drama. So, now let's go on with the violence and gore. This film is extremely violent and is probably one of the most violent horror films ever to come out from A24. And it's mainly because of two scenes. It's basically mainly because of the scene with the car ride and also the scene at the end. Basically, everything in between is not too violent. There's not too much, except for like the girl cutting the head off of a bird. That one was just more weird than graphic. And besides that, most of it, those two scenes, there's not much gore in it, but in those two scenes, there's a heck of a lot. And even though most of those scenes only last for like half a second, they're very graphic and some of the most graphic scenes I've ever seen in an A24 movie. So expect a lot in those two scenes. Basically, expect it in the scene with the girl's head, and then the scene with where at the end of at the ending of the movie is basically quite a bit of gore, especially when the mom starts to kill herself. That's pretty graphic, and it deserves the R rating, just to say the least. But besides that, the gore is pretty tame. But when those scenes are going through, it is kind of shocking, but it has to have that shock factor to it, because it is a horror film. So it has to have a little bit of shock factor to it, but that is not too much to bother you for the entire movie, but it will bother you a little bit if you have never seen it before. Expect a lot of it in some scenes, but expect not much throughout the entire film. Maybe about 5 or 7 minutes of gore throughout the entire thing. But besides that, it's pretty tame, but expect some of those scenes to be extremely violent, especially near the end. This film is extremely effective on a horror level and on a family drama level too. This film focuses a lot on the drama, but when it gets scary, it gets scary. Some of the horror in this film is some of the scariest things I've ever seen, and even though it's not a very, wouldn't seem like a very scary movie, but it's very intense throughout the entire runtime. And the entire time you're on the edge of your seat, just because of how tense it is. It's very intense, and it's just insane throughout the entire runtime. You'll never get bored, except for maybe at for 10 or so minutes in the middle half. But besides that, it is extremely hard-hitting right throughout the entire film. The drama aspects are extremely well done, and the horror aspects are even better. So expect one of the best horror films of the 20th century, actually, 21st, whatever. And you're gonna have a lot of fun with this movie. It's very depressing throughout the entire runtime, and it deserves to be because it is a drama and a horror film. It is going to be one of the saddest horror films you're going to see in a while. Not as much as something like The Mist, but still very, very sad throughout the entire runtime. It's supposed to be a tale of grief, so there's quite a bit of death in it. So expect that, and it is extremely effective throughout the entire runtime. And let's get to the final thoughts and rating. For my final thoughts, I'm going to say this is probably one of the best horror films of the 21st century, not even gonna lie about that. Straight up, I really like this movie. It's probably one of the best movies on any streaming service that you can watch. It is extremely well done, extremely well shot, one of the best looking films of the past 10 years. And the acting is very good in this film. And I'm sure you can guess this coming from a mile away. I'm going to recommend it for you guys. basically anybody can watch this film. It's extremely intense throughout. It's a little squeamishy in some parts, but you should expect that since it is a horror film. But yes, it is very good, very well done, well shot, well made film, and every scene looks like an look like it could literally hang in a museum. Almost every shot does, and that is why I'm saying anybody can watch this movie. Just go watch it now if you can. So see you guys next week, and see you guys later.
Like and subscribe for more amazing content.